I worked for 7 different white male CEOs in my career. I worked for 3 Fortune 100 companies. I always thought that the only way I was going to get a steady paycheck was if a white man was going to pay it to me. And the first time I got a paycheck from a woman of color was when I wrote my paycheck to myself.
What is up, y'all? It's Bernadette Joy, your author of Crush Your Money Goals. And because it is Women's History Month, I want to share with you one of my favorite moments. It is a summit I did in Puerto Rico with my friend Janice Torres of Yo Quiero Dinero podcast for women. And specifically in this video, I'm going to share with you how I personally invest, what I did to become debt-free, and what you can do to reach financial independence faster if that is something you are interested in, and changing the course of women's history by becoming wealthy. Since watching this video, I found that all of it is still relevant today, if not even more timely, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what you took away in the comments. See ya!
I just find any excuse to hang out with Bernadette. She's one of my favorite human beings of all time. I just want to put that out there.
The feeling is so mutual.
We're even
winning now.
We did not coordinate this, by the way. We're just the vibes. It's just the vibes. Okay, you're definitely my favorite financially independent millionaire.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And I first want to get to that place where, like, how the hell did you do that? Because financial independence, for anybody who doesn't know, or the FIRE movement stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. And it's this whole movement that started with a bunch of rich white bros in tech who were basically hoarding their money, putting in the stock market, eating rice and beans, and retiring at 30. Which, when I first heard about it, I was like, who the hell wants to do that? First, I love my rice and beans. But
I mean, honestly, I like rice and beans too,
right?
but not all the time every day. Yeah.
No, that's not a lifestyle. But so when I first heard about it, I was like, this is absurd, because I don't make $300,000 a year, or I didn't when I first learned about this. And so it turned me off. It turned me off because I'm like, clearly that's not for me. And then it wasn't until I started hearing different definitions of financial independence, which meant like maybe side hustling so you could replace some of your income so you don't have to work full time, or this idea of living a semi-fi lifestyle or semi-retirement. There were so many different parts of FI that I started to understand that then I began to believe, okay, this is something I want to pursue too. So I'm curious what that journey first was like for you, that you decided, I'm going to pursue financial independence.
So just to clarify, to make sure we're all on the same page, financial independence, retire early is FIRE. I decided that it was for me when I changed the acronym to financial independence, relax every day. Okay? Meaning I don't need that much money to start relaxing every day. So once I changed that definition, it became a lot more feasible for me.
And you know what's funny? It's not just applicable to your financial life, this framework. It's literally like applicable to how you should just approach protecting your energy, protecting your money, protecting your space, and creating the life that you want, right? Mm-hmm. It's gonna bleed over. Like when you get really good at having boundaries with your money, with people, it spills over, right? Mm-hmm. And it becomes a habit, which is the first thing that you said.
If you're enjoying this content and want to actually take real action towards crushing your money goals, check out my new book. It is Crush Your Money Goals, 25 habits that you can use starting today to pay off debt, save, invest, and reach financial freedom. It's jam-packed with all of my best tips as a debt-free millionaire and your new money mentor. Check it out at crushyourmoneygoals.com or head to Amazon or wherever you buy books. Grab yours today.
We talked about an honest conversation with independence, and sometimes we have to let people go. And sometimes it's people really close to us.
It's those friends inviting you to those $500 brunches every Sunday. They gotta go.
They gotta go. It's also the people who, they were there in your life for a season, but they don't have a reason anymore to be here. So limit your availability, and specifically, I have 3 people in each of my categories. I'm a high introvert. I took the test and I'm 99% introvert, right? So when I said that I did this business because I wanted to only focus on 100 people, because it's literally all my energy can afford. Who are the 9-ish people that will move my life forward? And you don't have to cut people loose. Oh, bye, bitch, not that. Specifically, stop giving out discounts nobody asked for, okay? Stop giving out discounts nobody asked for. And honestly, this is the part that took me the longest to figure out. I would get resentful when I didn't get paid what I thought I was worth. But whose fault was that? Yours. It was my fault. And one of the biggest ramp ups to my financial independence is when I started doing this, I was making $50K, and now I make $250K a year, and my husband was making $90K, and I taught him how to raise his rates too, and now he makes 6 figures. You have to own your income. You have to stop being resentful about people not paying you because you didn't ask.
That was a masterclass, y'all. Now let's talk more numbers.
Yes.
What did you actually do to start your journey to financial independence?
Yes. All right. First off, I will always be in the camp of paying off your debt first. It's even less about the math on that piece, but more so of the vibe that you have when you don't owe anyone any money. I paid off $300,000 of debt in 3 years, including my mortgage. Someone asked me about, do you pay off your mortgage? And it's not for everybody. But what I said to her was that the reason that I chose to pay off my mortgage early, and everyone fought me on this, everybody. But I said, I grew up in a household where my parents couldn't afford our house. My mom ended up cleaning houses because they couldn't afford the mortgage. So that's forever ingrained in my mind. And so I have this deep-seated fear in losing my house. If I pay off the mortgage, they can't take it. I personally decided to pay off my mortgage too. So I was 35 and debt-free, including my house. Thank you. And then I took all of the money that I would have put on my mortgage and I started investing like a maniac. That's the crazy thing about becoming debt-free. It frees up so much cash flow of stuff that you were so used to paying that it becomes so much easier to invest. So that's my way that I did it. The original question was mathematically, my bad. 25 times your annual expenses, that's the rule. Mathematically, for me, I figured out at my current, including my mortgage, it was over $6,000 a month. One of the reasons I was really cognizant about paying off all the debt, all the credit cards, the car loan, the mortgage, is because then that took my number down to just under $4,000, if you subtracted all that out. So instead of having to save over $2 million for investments for early retirement, then it went down to 1.2.
So just to clarify, that's because your house was paid off, so you weren't factoring that into the number.
That's correct, right?
To pay your monthly mortgage.
Exactly, right? So that's the beauty of when you look at this 25X rule, everyone looks at that big ass number and they're like, how am I supposed to do that? But what can you do to take down the expenses to make that number get smaller on the other side? So that was the math that I had to do.
Can you give us sort of a timeline of how much time it's taken you to accomplish this, right? Because I think what happens also when people do that initial 25 times calculation, they're like, ain't nobody got time.
Yeah.
What does the timeline look like? And what's been the biggest accelerator of that timeline?
But really, I got serious about this in 2016. It's been 7 years from $300,000 in debt to 1.3. Okay? So it's possible, but it was really hard. I'm not going to be the person that say, oh, everyone can do this, because truthfully, not everyone can. That's the truth. The biggest accelerator of it, which is perfect for this, was my business. When people talk about investing, we talk a lot about stocks, and that's what people traditionally think about investing. But what are you actually investing in when you're investing in a stock?
A company,
somebody else's business. Usually a white man's business. If you look at the S&P 500, where everyone tells you to invest in, and you look at the CEOs, how many of them are of color and how many of them are women? So the honest truth I had to say to myself is, okay, I'm going to put some money there. That's why in my mind, the limits of the 401k and the limits of the IRAs, that's the limit I'm going to put in, because the rest of this is going into my business. If I'm going to bet on somebody, it best be my own. I worked for 7 different white male CEOs in my career. I worked for 3 Fortune 100 companies. I always thought that the only way I was going to get a steady paycheck was if a white man was going to pay it to me. And the first time I got a paycheck from a woman of color was when I wrote my paycheck to myself.
Yeah, that's real. And it's very reflective of what happens when you get really intentional about pursuing FI. Like when it's real serious, it accelerates very quickly. And I've had the exact same experience. If you have any questions about pursuing financial independence, talk about your own journey, we can get started with that.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Lopez from Orlando, Florida, and I'm an attorney. Your risk adverse speaks to me. I was just wondering how, in achieving FIRE, that risk aversion impacted or influenced what you decided your number to be, and how much do you consider asset protection in making your investment choices?
Okay, great question. The answer is it is 100% the number thing that I focus on in my investments. Has anyone taken a risk tolerance quiz for their investments? Okay, actually there's not that many hands. Just email me. I will send you that quiz. It's not a quiz that I made. I looked for the quiz that I thought was the best one that's out there. But that quiz will help you understand where your risk tolerance is, and almost everyone that takes that quiz never is what they thought they were. So that's the first thing. If you don't even know your own risk tolerance, you think you do, you gotta actually figure that out. So that's number one. And number two, for me in particular, I was willing to give up the sexy shit for the safer stuff that was gonna not make me lose sleep at night so that I could stay on the path longer. So 7 years sounds like a short amount of time, but I did it consistently for 7 years when everyone else left the game in investing. I would rather pick the thing that's gonna suit my risk tolerance, that's gonna keep me on this longer. I've never been a highly aggressive investor, but because I stayed in it consistently for the last 7 years, that's where I was able to do it more quickly.
We both renters.
We should have, yeah, okay.
We're both renters, y'all.
We both can afford to buy very big houses, and we both rent.
Just reminding you about how you broke down the $100,000 that you had to invest.
Oh, yes. If you had $100,000, how would you invest it?
Thank you. Oh, yes, thank you. All right, how would I break down $100,000 to invest if I had it today? So if I was starting with having not done anything today, this is what I did on January 1st, because I actually had a goal to invest $100K this year. Last year I invested like 2 something, right? And I actually scaled it back like Janice, right? So first $22,500 went into my 401k. Specifically, it went into a dividend index fund because I am in FIRE already. So this is why you have to hear me. I'm in FIRE already, so I'm not trying to go up and down with my money. And then I match myself in my own 401k. Then there's a $6,500 that went into my IRA, and specifically it's also in a different dividend ETF simply because my 401k doesn't have that one. So a similar one. Right now, I have 30-ish K sitting in a CD because it's easy money, crazy easy money. And then the rest of it right now is going between, let's just say like a third, and then the other third has been going between the real estate investment trust and T-bills. If you've never heard of some of these terms, you just need to Google them. It's really not that hard. But I'm saying that to you specifically because I had to devise this plan in conjunction with all of my other goals. You have to do this in the context of what it is that you want to do. So when people ask me like, oh, what would you do with 100K? I'm like, girl, I don't know what you would do because I literally don't know what the rest of your finances are. And so that's the plug to have a coach, have someone sit down with you and make sure you're doing this with the holistic approach.
I love that you guys shared that you both rent and talking about investing in properties. Something that one of my mentors in the real estate space shared that is a quote that's always stuck with me is live where you want to live and invest where the numbers make sense. You don't have to buy where you live.
My name is Yvette Ledesma. I'm here from Colorado, and I am a health and wellness coach. One question I have for you, Bernadette. Yesterday, you mentioned when you come to conference, you always write a list down of 3 things of how you can 10x what you spent at the conference. What I wanted to know are like, what are those examples? What are things that have worked in the past and things that haven't?
I'm always looking for new systems. What are other people who do what I do? What systems are they using? I just went to the Kajabi conference and I figured out there are so many features within that platform that I just didn't even know existed. And I was like, oh, damn, I've not been using this well. I'm going to say from this conference in particular, what I already got out of it, I need to restructure my pricing. I just need to restructure my pricing. Janice, I don't know if you know this. So me, Allison, Nelly, Cindy, and Kara were sitting at the pool for 4 hours yesterday and writing out each other's funnels, sharing everything that we know about our businesses. And I was like, I'm done for the rest of the conference. I already know what else I need to do. And so specifically the systems and going to the conferences and finding someone who does it better than you. And in my case, Allison does funnels 10 times better than me, and she was willing to share.
Yeah, I think back to when I first wanted to launch a course. I signed up for a program that I want to say was $997, and my first launch was $25,000. So it's a pretty decent return on investment.
Great question.
But it's about putting in the work too with the knowledge, right? It's always coming back to application.
Hi, everyone. My name's Melissa. So I have two questions.
Okay.
The first one is like tactical. What accounts are used specifically and how the 4% will change depending on where the market's at?
Here's what I personally invest in. I teach an investing class. If you want to come to that, you can join that. But the high level, here's what I'm currently invested in. The word investment just simply means putting money into something with the expectation of making more money. That's it. Doesn't synonymously mean stocks and bonds. So number one, high yield savings account. That's number one. Number two, CDs. Number three, treasury bills. Not to be confused with treasury bonds and all this other stuff. Just look up the word treasury bill. Number four, dividend ETFs. I will not say which one, but you can look up, if you look up top dividend ETFs and see the list, you might guess which one I'm in. Specifically, for me, I really like that as my part of strategy because I'm in FIRE right now, so I like getting passive income. So it's dividend ETFs. Number five, real estate investment trusts. There used to be a time where you had to be an accredited investor to do that, but now anyone can do that.
These all in a brokerage or different accounts?
They start off with my IRAs and my 401ks, and then when I max it out, then the rest of it's going into a brokerage. Oh, money market account. And then seventh, of course, is my business. Those are the 7 things that I invest in, and 6 of them are really easy. The hardest one is the business.
And then my second question is, I feel like a lot of time men talk about like masculine energy. Like, I think I have a lot of masculine energy, and that's a bad thing. Like, I should be different. I should be more feminine. So I'm wondering what y'all have heard. I'm going to be who I am. So I'd love to hear your perspectives, if you've heard any of that, and yeah, from either of you. Thank you.
Okay. Short answer is, fuck that. Just fuck that, right? I used to work at Goldman Sachs, which is the epitome of masculine toxicity. I remember when I was working there, I was told by my white male boss that he doesn't like the way I communicate. Of course, right? And I internalized that for so long. And what I realized what he meant was that he doesn't like how I communicate because it's not like how he talks. Fast forward to this past year, Forbes reaches out to me and says, we need your voice. Do not change a single thing about how you talk or what you say or what you want to talk about. So if someone is telling you that you have too much or whatever, you're in the wrong room. Just go to a different room.
I just want to add one more thing.
Please, too.
I think it's funny. When we think about the act of creation, who's capable of that? It's women. The act of creating wealth is literally buying back rest and relaxation for not yourself, but also future generations. That's the most feminine shit you could do. Yeah.
I love that.
All right. Thank you so much, Bernadette.
Thank you.